I stand here looking over this crowd and I see a bunch of weirdos. A big bunch of weirdos. Rather than be here, you could be out enjoying the ships. You could be over watching a football game, but you're here. The idea that you're here makes you experts. Experts in your own feelings is why I'm telling you this. The feelings that you're experiencing right now, the feelings that brought you here today, are the expertise that is going to be needed, if not in the past, soon in the near future. You are writing another chapter in your life, the story of your life. And in this particular chapter, you may have started it already, but I'm going to kind of divide it up and tell you and show you which chapter it is you're talking about right now, or I'm talking about right now. What has happened is the theme of this particular point in this chapter, one of the things is invisibility. Every one of you has experienced invisibility. I'm going to say from the age of 10, maybe a little bit earlier than that, but I'll draw you a picture of that. When you were in grammar school and you saw that one person come into the room and you got that twinkle in your eye, you thought, oh, that is going to be just my best friend ever. For the guys, it might be a girl. For the guys nowadays, it might be a guy. But that twinkle in your eye, is something that you try and get in front of that person. Try and comb your hair just right. You try and get out there as much as you can, and they don't notice you. Invisibility. That's the first experience that I had with invisibility. The other experience you might have experienced with invisibility is the need to be invisible. With those who are beating you up, with those who are abusing you, both verbally as well as physically. That's invisibility too that is desired. You want to get away from so that they don't see you. And that creates a problem, a frustration within you. The frustration of, first of all, that might be your love, or I don't want that guy to beat up on me anymore. So that is a chapter that you're writing today. Your knowledge of what you've learned here will carry on. Now the expertise, we want to shift it over to genius. Let me give you this little quote. It's worth 1,000 words. See if I can remember it correctly under this. The rest of those who have gone before us cannot settle the unrest of those who will follow. Let me explain that to you. With 2 phone calls. I got a phone call some 15... I had a son in the military. I got a phone call about 15 years ago while my son was in the Marines. It was a bad phone call. It was the phone call that his older brother was shot to death here in the United States in Spokane, Washington. We went up there, we got my son out of the military, we went up there and we all identified him all together. That's an experience that no one should have to go through. The second phone call came about 6 years ago. Matter of fact, it was October 5th of 2009. The phone call, and thank goodness that the man that called me had practiced it. He says, "Hello, this is Colonel so-and-so from Fort Carson, Colorado. Your son is okay." He's been involved in an incident, but we're bringing him home. You'll be able to see him in about 2 weeks. I made sure I was there when he got back in the United States. There were a lot of veterans there that had just returned home from overseas from their deployment. And as I was putting my arm over my son's shoulder and grabbing his bag and walking him, I looked back over my shoulder, and there were a dozen or so of our veterans there that had no one. No one there. So, that's my experience on the heartache of parenthood. What the things that you do go through with having family. If you ever lose a family member, if you ever lose a close friend, that loss is a rest that you will never be able to settle your own unrest. That's why I brought that up. The idea that this many people are here is such a great thing. The money that was raised, such a great thing. This work, this knowledge that you guys have gotten this day and in preparation for this day will help to be an answer for the frustrations of those who are around you. I'd like to close by saying thank you for coming. And that son that I went and grabbed and put my hand over his shoulder happens to be here today. He got recognized by the nation as a hero. I'd like to introduce my son, have him come up and wave to you at least. His name is former Staff Sergeant Ty M. Carter. The idea that he was recognized, and I don't want to tell his story, it'd take me hours, but you can look him up on the internet. Thank you so much for showing up here today. It's such a good cause. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more speaker from the AFSP who's going to talk to us about what the funds that we're raising today are going to do to help us in the Bay Area, to help us on the local level. So please welcome Padmini Parthasarathi. Did I get that right? Ah!